My name's Kyle Widrick, CEO and founder of Win Brands Group. And we are a DTC portfolio company focused on acquiring and partnering with the best brands in the world to continue their success. So super excited to be here. Great event put on by Phil and Paula. Appreciate you bringing us all together during these times. Let me connect to my presentation here. And we wanted to make the title fun. So the title is Make DTC Great Again. And I'll get into kind of what we are talking about with that. But great to be here, and I hope you enjoy, and I hope we're able to help some companies that can benefit from our experience in the space. So we're going to talk a little bit today about the evolution of the DTC industry. Myself personally got involved back in the early 2000s, first from an investment standpoint, then from an agency standpoint, and now what we're doing now, which is really owning and operating businesses. But a lot has changed over that period of time in all ways. And from what we see, it's important to unlock who you are as a brand and as a business in order to create that best path to your success. So at Win Brands, we meet 12 plus brands per month. And a lot of these conversations end up being about, goals and outcomes and how we may be able to help them get there. So we've seen a lot of this, and we've started to bucket these brands based on their best path, not what we would want it to be. And that's what I'm going to focus, some time today on outlining how we think about that and what that best path is to the success, for the brand. So a little bit of background on Win Brands. I mentioned we are a portfolio of consumer companies. A couple of our brands here. Kalo is a leading silicone ring business. And we sell both rings that are replacement for your wedding band and also dog tags. That's a business that we got involved in last year in 2019. We have Homesick, which is a candle first business, and that's a business that we got involved in 2018. Bow and Drape and Stowaway were also both 2019. Bow and Drape is customized apparel, and Stowaway is travel size cosmetics. These brands are sold Shopify first. That tends to be our focus. All of our brands are on Shopify. We then focus on selling product on Amazon in all cases, and then selling at retail. And some of our products are a better fit for Target. Some are a better fit for Dick's. And, that's part of the analysis that we go through when we're scaling these businesses is if you are going to be at retail, who are those right retail partners for you? So, hopefully today will be helpful for brands that are looking to define and chart that path for themselves. Also for service providers that may be able to adapt to that path, and potentially also for investors like ourselves to think about, how to position these companies within a portfolio. So just a quick background on myself. Personally, I started out more traditional finance, and then I worked for a family office called Birch Creative Capital, and their largest holding was the Tory Burch consumer fashion business. So really interesting perspective. That was exciting to watch that business grow. Was able to travel to China, source product directly, was able to market and open stores and retail here in the US. So really a full stack consumer experience. Just prior to that, I had built and sold a business called Postgrad Apartments. So I've always been a little bit entrepreneurial, all along the way, and kind of that family office was a good stepping stone for me to broaden, my outlook. Post leaving Birch, I co-founded an agency called VBXL with my partner Dylan Whitman, who's actually giving the closing keynote. And we were a Shopify design and development agency that focused on the launch or relaunch of the websites, and then did a lot of, retainer work for paid marketing and various other initiatives. And we sold that business in 2018, and that's when I started Win. And so I've had a good experience in consumer, have seen a lot, and hopefully some of this can be helpful. Outside of traditional, core focus, I also have invested in consumer companies, including Thrive Market, Wish.com, and Hims, which actually today just announced that they're going public via a SPAC, which is great. So again, wanted to have some fun with this title, not to be political, certainly not to be controversial. Not sure how many of you were able to, watch the debate, but it was certainly interesting. And, I think, for us, easier to chart what D2C looks like maybe than what the U.S. political landscape looks like. So it's an interesting kind of thought and title and theme for us. So getting back to VBXL for a bit, we founded that agency in 2012, and our focus, Dylan and I, when we started it, was really just to help consumer companies. What could we do? What did we have any amount of unique knowledge in to be able to help these companies? And we got excited about Shopify very early as a tool and as a platform that was scalable for what we were looking to do. So over a period of time with that business, we were able to identify a repeatable process, that worked, and be able to help some of these companies benefit as they scaled. So we were fortunate to work with everyone from MVMT watches to Kylie Cosmetics, Mizzen & Main, Boll & Branch, a lot of really attractive names in the space that did well. We were able to help, in some way. But there were also hundreds of other businesses that had a great product, had a great brand story, but were unable to have the same level of success. And, for me, that was usually because of some sort of operational issue that they ran into. So with Win, if we were able to create a path and a solution for that, that was really my focus, to be able to continue trying to help businesses, along their journey. So, back in the good old days, for lack of a better way to say it, most all concepts were met with great excitement. You had the new, socks, you had the new watches, you had the new toilet paper. It didn't matter what it was. Companies were exciting. Venture was excited to back these companies. And probably most importantly, ads were cheap. And there were not a lot of places to spend. It was only a few. So a few places to spend plus relatively cheap advertising was a great place to start. So, for companies that were able to get in the game early, this really benefited them. And the D2C playbook, as they call it, plenty of articles written about that, really worked well at that time. So to call out someone like an MVMT, good timing, they got in the game at the right time, good execution, they were able to really take what they had and build off of it, and great products. At the end of the day, for any consumer company, you need to have fantastic product to be able to scale, because if the product doesn't hold up, you're never going to have that repeat purchase. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to make it work. So I wouldn't say these times were able to create any success, but they certainly allowed success for companies that got in early and were able to take advantage of that. So fun little video here, but what went wrong? It's not really what went wrong. It's more what shifted, in the marketplace. One platform to advertise on became 10 platforms to advertise on. And the pricing, even from 18 to 19 doubled, right? So the ability to get your product out there and get your product out there successfully became a lot harder. And you had to be an expert on a lot more channels. It was Facebook only, then it was Facebook, Instagram, then it was Snapchat. Now it's everything to TikTok, right? So it's really challenging to be good across all those different subsets, especially if you're operating as a single D2C company with a small team. So, the other area that we believe in very much is channel diversification. And I'm going to get into in the next slides, what type of business you are, and based on what type of business you are, how to focus. But generally speaking, if you're looking for scale to the tune of 25 million plus as an arbitrary number, you really need to get comfortable with being good on Shopify or whatever platform you're on. We like Shopify. plus Amazon. Amazon is a complex but a necessary beast in these days. And retail, sometimes folks have a very negative view of retail, but for us, if you're able to pick the right partners and you're able to have terms that make sense for you at that partner, then it's great exposure and it further validates the business and the brand. And it allows you to scale, beyond that single channel. So, but new channels, even taking Amazon as an example, it's new to learn, it's new to spend, and it's certainly new to be good at spending on that platform. So it's an increased challenge for any of these companies that get into the space without the luxury of the good old days. So what is next? So WIN Brands Group, WIN literally stands for what is next. So what technologies, what partners, what brands can we partner with to be ahead of the curve and to be competitive and to stay competitive? It's an evolving conversation. There's a lot we need to do on a daily, weekly basis to get there. But, for us, it starts with the team. We've really tried to recruit the best team that we could from Shopify, from Wayfair, from IAC, leading companies that have done it before, as part of our team that can help all the brands that we work with. So just beyond this, I'm going to get into the types of the businesses and the considerations, but generally speaking, with the increased competition, there's so many areas of the business that you need to be good at. And anyone that's run one of these companies understands you need to be good at 3PL and shipping. You need to be good at marketing on Amazon. You need to be good at customer service. There's a lot of different things. So any place that you can really start to lean in and create operational leverage for yourself and any synergies that you can is critically important. And again, working on that omni-channel diversification. But the good news is, the shift from retail to online is happening. Roughly 10% a year growth over the last 5 years. This year, that could be as much as 50% based on what we're seeing. So if you're able to have a unique value proposition in a product that customers are looking for, you have every ability to be very successful. It has just gotten a lot more complicated. So we charted out, and this is something that we talk about a lot internally, but 3 general buckets of brands, and also arbitrary percentages: 1%, 9%, 90%. But let's just say the unicorns are 1% of the market. It's likely much less than that. Whichever bucket you're in really affects how you look at timing, how you look at scale, and how you ultimately look at success. So it's a key consideration to make and to self-identify earlier versus later, so that you don't put yourself in a compromised position. But we'll spend a few minutes on each of these to kind of outline, examples and things that we've seen and things that we've seen be successful for each. So unicorns, everyone in our ecosystem in the e-commerce world is well aware of these companies. They hit the jackpot of being typically, started in the good old days, started in a market that was scalable, got a lot of funding, got good early scale, which kind of set them on their path. Anyone that's done this knows, that significant early scale is not easy, even with a ton of capital. But these folks were able to make that happen. So you have to give them a lot of credit for that. They're usually first to a category, definitely have great timing, definitely have great execution. So their path has really been dictated for them via, the whole unicorn term, being $1 billion plus business. They are on a path to $1 billion plus outcome. That's what their founders expect. That's what their employees expect. That's what their investors expect. So not an easy path, but certainly, highlighted. And in the case of both Allbirds and Warby Parker, incredible businesses that have unique value propositions. Warby Parker, great pricing, great product. They were big on their sourcing direct early days. Everyone has now become the Warby Parker of. And Allbirds, I think, again, matching great products with great pricing. An Allbirds shoe at $290 would not be the same as at that $95 price point that they launched with, right? So you have to be able to create that unique advantage for yourself, whatever that is. So the second bucket here is what we categorize as lifestyle businesses. And these can be excellent businesses for founders, can be excellent businesses for families. You know, we often see a husband and a wife, or maybe two co-founders that started a business. They tend to be bootstrapped. Maybe they took on a little bit of funding from friends and family, but this is not usually the heavily venture-backed business. They tend to be on a longer time horizon. For good, for purpose, and they focus on cash flow for the founders to pay their salaries and ultimately to pay dividends if they're fortunate enough to be that profitable. So these are, from our view, typically 10 million and below businesses, sometimes $1 million, $2 million, selling a broad range of products, but able to do it in a way that they've created a lean and mean mentality. They've been able to plug in with partners who are efficient enough to allow them to be profitable. And they're really looking at this business as a longer term opportunity. There's not a large focus to try to get to an exit in the next 2 years. This literally could be a 20-year opportunity for them. And the last bucket, contemporary, for lack of a better word, is really the bucket of everything else. Wide range of funding, everything from silicone rings to candles to blankets, spanning all product categories. I would say in meeting a lot of these founders, there's a mixed result of perceived goals and outcomes. They sometimes are very clear that it's going to be a unicorn path, or they feel like they're on a unicorn path. Sometimes it's a husband and a wife who maybe are straddling the line of thinking that this is a lifestyle business. And there's a whole lot of founders, whether it's one or two or five, who got into the business back in the good old days and have gotten to a place where they've scaled the business to a certain level, but are starting to have challenges. And that's what we focus on to some extent. But at the end of the day, any of these businesses that have a specific and a unique value proposition can be successful and they can be profitable. There is a way to do that. You just really have to know who you are and know how big the opportunity is and be able to work around that to the best outcome. If you're trying to scale, and the business is tapped out at 25 million, you're probably going to be losing money hand over fist, which is going to put you in a leveraged position, which is certainly not where you want to be. You want to grow based on expectation to that size that makes sense based on potential. So again, with the unicorns, it's all about scale. The outcome has already been defined. It's literally, let's get there. Are we going to partner with a SPAC? Are we going to go public? If they're fortunate enough to get to that size. Sometimes these businesses are profitable. Sometimes they're not. That seems to matter a little bit more these days than it did 5 years ago. But in some cases, it still does not matter. But they're on their path and they're going to be at breakneck speed to get there. As it relates to the lifestyle businesses, I could go on for days on both these and the contemporary businesses. But generally speaking, the best advice that I could give or that we could give would be really to grow thoughtfully. You have to choose, in this case, profit over scale, and try to not put yourself in a position where you're going to be over leveraged, because that creates opportunity for you to get off the track that you want to be on. If you need to go to someone for capital, if you need to take on a debt facility, this can be the end of what you had as a great lifestyle business if it goes the wrong way. So I think for anyone that is in this bucket, being able to really grow thoughtfully and purposefully, it can be an amazing outcome and really can be a cash flow machine, for the right founders. And I think, in all the cases that I've seen that have been successful, it is a group of people that is really focused on those loyal fans and being able to be lean and mean and keep delivering those loyal customers and those loyal fans great product. If you're able to do that, there's always growth year over year, and there's the ability to be profitable. And that really is the dream for most people that get into this business. Back to the contemporary businesses, you have to lean into whatever uniqueness you have. If it's Kalo, they were the first to market in the silicone ring business. They were able to get some celebrity athletes involved, but really know what that uniqueness is and then start to quantify how big that can be. If you're looking at Shopify only, if you're looking at that Shopify plus Amazon, if you're looking at Shopify plus Amazon plus retail, how big is the silicone ring business? How big is this candle business? How big is this, et cetera business? Have a realistic view, and based on that, chart the path forward. And timing is going to be dictated again by, what you're looking to do. A lot of founders that I have met got into a business, they were in consulting, or they were in banking, or they were in the restaurant business, and they got on a path of creating a consumer company back in the good old days. And they now have an expectation that they want to be out of this business in the next 5 years, right? That's a very important fact to know, because you can then drive toward that outcome. And I think the difference here between 1% profitability and 20% profitability, which matters a lot, is going to be operating efficiencies. All the unsexy things of 3PL shipping to customer service to sourcing product. Most of the folks that I've seen are pretty good at marketing. They're pretty good at brand. They're pretty good at building community. Obviously, there's variances there that dictate better outcomes, but you have to lean in and get also good at the rest of it, the less sexy portions of the business, if you're going to be able to drive to an outcome, again, if that's what you're looking for. So a couple of our businesses, just to touch on, Homesick is a candle business built off the sense of nostalgia. We have a uniqueness there that we're selling a fragrance business online. We're able to do that because people are buying the idea of it as the states and the cities and the memories first, and the scent is arguably second. Kalo, again, targeted function, silicone ring business where a lot of athletes wear this because you're not allowed to wear metal on the court or on the field. So it's a functional product that they can wear. Also, many people that work with their hands feel more comfortable, both from a pure comfort standpoint, but also you can't get injured like metal if you got it caught into something. So these fall into the categories of super gifting and targeted function. These are categories that we like that tend to drive, first acquisition costs down to allow us to be first order profitable, which is super important for us. Again, just to touch on a couple companies that we got involved in. Back to the omni-channel piece. When we got involved with Homesick, they had 0 sales on Amazon. We've now become the #1 scented candle business on Amazon in less than 24 months. So again, saw an opportunity, liked the concept, saw opportunity to grow across channels, and then really have been able to plug in a team to be able to execute against that. So, for us, just to touch quickly on Win Brands and what we do and how we do it, we have a shared service team that's set up as a holding company. Any brand that we partner with, we are able to come in and allow any brand to work with that team. So we have a head of customer service, we have a head of 3PL, we have a head of Amazon. These are areas that a lot of brands that we work with seem to have some challenges getting expert level talent in. So we offer that. That's one path. Obviously, if you're able to recruit that talent in for yourself and you're on a path to scale to the success that you want, that's another path for you. We believe that, Procter & Gamble and Unilever, back when they created these holding companies that have been amazingly successful, this was efficiencies that they were able to drive out of traditional retail and distribution. And we feel that there's the same opportunity. We were referencing a TechCrunch article about holding companies and D2C. The same opportunity exists today to be creating a community of brands that can all be stronger together. It just looks a little bit different than it did back when these companies were being created. From the brand side, it's incredibly collaborative. We are founder mentality, community driven. We feel like any of these brands can be a stronger brand with us and our support than they would be able to be without us. And from a market facing perspective, we solve a lot of the challenges and eliminate a lot of the challenges, frankly, that single D2C brands have, because we have scale, we can get better pricing, we can drive, more profitability that way, and we have a repeatable process for us to get there. So, again, there's a lot of paths to get there. If you're a unicorn, you should go on that path. Even if you're a small unicorn, let's take the sizing out of it. If you are able to drive a successful outcome that you're looking for on your own, you should 100% do that. If it's a lifestyle business and you don't want to sell it, you just want to keep it and be very good at that, that is a great outcome. With Win, we are focused on kind of the third option, which is join a community of brands and be stronger together. Leverage that infrastructure that we've built across multiple brands. Be part of a community. Something I like to tell myself and also joke about with some of the founders that we meet is there are no awards given for doing it the hard way. What are you trying to achieve in what period of time, and how can we partner to make that happen? So I think I covered, and I'm rushing here because I think I may be up on timing because I started a little bit late. But to recap, know who you are, really define that, really spend time to define that, to know what your best path is going to be. Seek out partners who can help you fill blind spots. Tons of people on, this event today that can help in different areas from a service perspective. Some of them are great and really someone to lean into. But listen, there's plenty of paths to do it. Would love to chat with any of you that want to connect. We're doing it one very specific way, but I love meeting founders and just learning more about these businesses and if there's ways that we can help. And at the end of the day, to kind of bring it back to our election and debate vibe, have fun with it. This is consumer products. This is selling great products to great customers, and we have a whole lot of fun doing it. And I'm sure most of you do as well. But for us, that's a big piece of it. And go out and vote on the 3rd. Make sure you get that vote in. But anyways, our booth is up. Come see us. My personal email is here. Feel free to email me. Love meeting. Reach out anytime. And we will be around the booth, myself and my team, to answer any questions that might come up. But thank you so much for the time. Hope this was helpful.